Hey, there we are. Happy Easter. Greetings, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning in Sunday Fellowship. We are glad to be with you once again this Sunday. Curtis was up here last Sunday, wasn't he? Yeah, well, I'm his twin brother. I'm his twin brother. Same father, different mothers. But anyway, I trust you guys had a great week learning who you are in Christ in sonship. We are going to take a look today. This is not your typical Easter message. The Father did not give me that this week, for this time. Every year we kind of do something pertaining to the resurrection, pertaining to Christ dying, all dying. We normally try to hit those areas that pertain to some kind of Easter message. But that's not where we're going. Technically, we celebrate a day and a time of time past. But every time somebody is born again, we have the bringing forth of a new life, resurrection of a new life. That life in the believer is Christ. That Christ in us do what? Makes us someone to the Father, thus making us someone new should be to ourselves, although that doesn't always happen. Religion has gotten in, which we're going to talk about this morning. And probably that's the issue of Easter. It is more of a religious act than it is a revelation of what God does of killing off the old man and raising up a new one. Killing off the old man. The Bible tells us what? About at the cross. What happened, Sylvia? When one died, all died. When one was raised, all raised. Bet you never heard that in your Easter message, have you? Bet you haven't heard that. Right, Julie? No, I know you haven't. You hanging around with Toby. That's why. We got some guests with us this morning. Guys, you can't see them, but we got Toby and Julie visiting us this morning. They're friends of Jim and Sylvia. They probably won't be friends after the meeting today, but laughter is a medicine. Some of us need medicine, right, Monica? We need medicine. See? Turn to your husband. Look at him. Look at him. Look at him. Just smile. There he goes, Lopez. Smile. You need some of that medicine. Anyway, we'll be looking at the message. Today is titled "The Conflicted and Fickle God of Man-Made Religion." And so the notes are going to be going all over the place today. They're really going all over the place today. So what we're going to do, is get Catherine when she gets mic'd up here. Jim, you got Catherine? She's the pink. Okay, good.
Do I just start at the top?
Yes, you can. Including the passage.
2 Corinthians 10:12. For we dare not make ourselves of the number, or compare ourselves with some that commend themselves, but they, measuring themselves by themselves and comparing themselves among themselves, are not wise. The mystery of spiritual birth is the Father's process of sonship. The process of spiritual identity is revealed through spiritual union and oneness in Christ. The mystery of sonship and identity is now working in every birthed son of God. This process is at work whether we know it or not. Our progression is in this spiritual process hinges on our revealed knowledge and obedience to what the Spirit is now saying. There is a part of God the Father's plan in the process of sonship that Satan has been given to play in this process. This week we will look at the person of Satan, who he is and who he is not.
I was going to
say this was last week.
Last week. I used
2 weeks
the intro
ago.
Because I forgot to take that off. Hey, Brother Steve. Good.
We're going
Good
to look, this week we're going to look at God and who man-made religion tries to portray him as this fickle and conflicted entity.
Well, no. We're going to look at the conflicted and fickle God of religion. You know what I mean? Because in religion, God is always conflicted and he's always fickle. He has to be to fit the identity that they have that makes the him to them. So he has to be fickle and conflicted to make it their God. They have to do something with him in their mind, and he don't do anything to him, but they have to justify something. So we're going to look at that. It's not your common everyday Easter message, but this has been on my mind here for the last week or so, and the Father said this before me. So let's look at the first part of this. Kathy, you want to read that for me, please?
The voices of man-made religion and its view of their God. I recently heard a back-and-forth discussion between the vice president and one of the Democratic presidential candidates. I was not surprised with the open dialogue on each of their biblical beliefs. Both are rooted and grounded in religion, man-made religion. They both deny there is a mystery to the gospel and the power of God to birth another person spiritually. They both advance the idea that the God each is referencing is conflicted and fickle concerning his love and freedom of identity with man. One of these two men denied the God-given right for man to make a decision to please man himself and not please God.
Pause. People have a problem with that idea. Let me say that clearly. Many of you might have a problem with that idea. So let me help you. Let me help you. Every human being that's birthed on this planet has a right to do what, Steve? Okay, I buy into that's more of a churchy thing, but I'll buy into that idea, free will. You don't find that biblically, but I'll buy. Help your brother-in-law, Jenny.
Oh no, I was going to say choice.
Have sin, have right to sin.
No, you know better than that. Now Jenny says something. You guys probably didn't hear Jenny because the room mic's not on. It is? So maybe you did hear Jenny. She said choices. All choices are set before us. I'm going to get to that later on here in the passage. But choices aren't decided by us. Choices are set before us. In other words, you didn't have a choice to be born. But you do have a decision on how you're going to live after you're born. You follow? So we don't necessarily have choices. Choices are set before us. What is necessary? And the reason it's necessary is God has given every human being a right to make a decision apart from him. A right to make decisions that satisfy themselves. Nobody in this room, in this city, in this state, in this country, in this world, every human being has a right. And I said this the other day to a pastor, and he tried to correct that. I said, no, brother, listen. Everybody has a right to do anything they want to do. Toby, did you catch that? Whether you agree with it or don't agree with it, whether you're saying, well, you giving people a license to sin. I didn't give them that license. God gave them a license. Because if you couldn't do it, if there was no possibility to make a decision to do it, then you wouldn't have a decision to make. It's really that simple. Jesus did not have a decision to make on the resurrection. You know why? Because it wasn't his decision. Whose decision was it? The Father's. He did have a decision to make about going to the cross. Father, let this cup pass my lips. Let this cup pass from my lips. Nevertheless, not my will, but thy will be done. Decision to die. So every human being has a right to make a decision. The problem with that is some in religion say, well, you can't do that. That's sin, or that's. I'm not saying there's not sin. I'm just saying the decision is theirs. The decision is yours. Everybody in this room decided what they were going to wear. I didn't see anybody walking here naked. Wouldn't put me out because I spent almost 30 years in surgery, so naked bodies doesn't mess with me. But it doesn't mess with me. But you made a decision, and I made a decision to put on mine because I didn't want to come out here and embarrass anybody. Thank you. Curtis back there saying, praise the Lord. But that's what God has given us. So when I heard this, that's why I read this. In religion, Nobody has a right to make a decision except the one that the religious group said that they should make, that they believe. So this dialogue has gone on. I watched it in the news for a while. Finish reading that, Catherine, please.
One of these two men deny the God-given right for man to make a decision to please man himself and not please God, while the other denied responsibility for exercising of him right of personal choice. But
that's not what that said.
Personal decision. But
pause for a minute. Now she did what we call in psychology what Jenny? Freudian slip. We're so used to using words that when we see a word, we don't say that word, we see the one we normally use. Personal decisions, not personal choices. Now, if you look up the word decision, you'll find the word choice in there. But personal decisions are made by us every day because we have the right to do it. I'm not telling you you make the right decision. I'm just saying you have the ability given by God to make that decision. We'll get there in a minute. The problem is most of us do not accept the responsibility for the decisions we make. Your flesh won't allow that. We'll get to that in a minute. We're going to look at it. Keep going, Catherine, please.
But blames God for those decisions.
It's God's fault. It's God's fault.
It's not the devil made me do it.
Oh, that too. That's another camp.
Okay, again, both don't understand the Spirit of God or his intent in the Bible. One other thing that was cited by these two men was that both said, I'm religious.
God, that is so good. That explains a lot.
And both proclaiming the same God. If that's the case, then their God sounds conflicted and fickle.
Because both saying they're religious, both say that both of these men said, I'm religious. But they both have two different understandings of the Bible. But I'm going to say this with the idea that some people might be offended. But both of them talking about the Bible, but they know nothing about spiritual life. They know nothing about. They both know something called the two-person gospel. We see that, but they both don't. They don't see that. So let's go. Let's look at this.
And they sure don't understand what that would mean, the two-person gospel.
No.
Romans 1:25. Who changed the truth of God into a lie and worshipped and served the Creator, the creature more than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. 2 Thessalonians 2:11. And for this cause God shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie.
That's pretty powerful. Think about that for a second. And God... And for this cause, God shall send them strong delusion that they should believe a lie. Remember we talked about delusional thinking, right? And definition for that is what? Anybody remember the definition for delusional? A false identity of self, and with all the evidence, refuse to believe the truth. I think I got that definition on here. Anyway.
Definition of conflicted, would you like that?
No, definition for delusion. It's on here somewhere, I think, but that's okay. We're not going to.
That's captivity.
That's captivity. Captivity is having the appearance of liberty, but under the control of another. I think I cut it out. I didn't want to use it again this week. Anyway, let's move on. I want to, as we go on right now, I want to look at the definition of conflicted and fickle, and then we'll jump off a little deeper into this message. So, Catherine, could you kindly read that for me, please?
Conflicted, having or showing feelings that disagree with one another.
Wait a minute. Have any of you been there before? You been there?
Uh-huh.
Dope. You walked in that field? Got your boots dirty out there? Curtis, you been there? Yeah. You just said that last week. Having or showing feelings that disagree with one another. That's conflicted. We're going to talk about that today. If you have a young man putting on a dress, a wig, and lipstick and say now he's changed his gender. You have a young woman cutting her hair off, putting on jeans, or a male suit, or male clothes, and say now she's a boy. That's conflicted. That's also something else, but that's the beginning of, or even to the part of having a place that allows you to think your identity is based on your feelings. Your identity is based on your feelings. That's conflicted. So, and we'll touch this in a minute. If that's your feeling and you are XX, female, right? Or you an XY, male, and you change clothes, how does that change your identity? It changed what you're wearing for sure. But does that change your identity, Toad? So, many buy into that, but we'll get to that in a second. Keep going.
Fickle, marked by lack of steadfastness, constancy, or stability, given to erratic changeableness.
Ooh, given to erratic what?
Changeableness.
Curtis. You hear that, bro? Given to. What does that mean, given to, Jenny?
Given over to.
Who you giving yourself to? Remember that? Paul said that. Romans 6.
Shall I continue?
Yes.
The illusion of a conflicted and fickle God is the basis for man-made religion and the two-person gospel. So what is the working definition of man-made religion?
Watch your head.
There is... Oopsie. Uh-oh, Rochelle. Hold on. I did not make a spot. Let's see. We are right here. There is an idea in the secular and church-attending world which deals with anything that has to do with God or a God. Many call this religion. And they all acknowledge an identification to that belief and belief system. This they call religion. But for those who don't believe in God or a God, they too have religion. The working definition for those is a belief or belief system that justifies them to themselves, confirming their identity in the flesh.
Okay. Everybody doesn't believe in God. We call those people what? Atheists. And there's some other names, atheists, but they don't believe in God. And so you would think they would be free of religion. Now, most people advocate, so I'm going to tell you that for people who don't believe in God, they have a religion. Their religion is they don't believe in God, and it's a belief system that they live by. And it forms their identity. When they say, I am an atheist, that's the identity of their religion, the religious belief, and the system that they live by. See, everybody is prone to have a religion, with or without a God, with or without a belief system that identifies that God. I had a young man that I know used to tell me, he said, I don't believe in religion. Now, there's a lot of people that say they don't believe in religion, right? I don't believe in religion. You guys might say that. You guys might say that. I don't believe in religion. But there's a lot of people that say, I don't believe in religion.
And some people say they're all the same when you get
Some
into
people
it.
say they're all the same. But the bottom line is, because you say you don't believe in religion, well, let me say it differently. The young man that I know said, I don't believe in religion. So my question, my comeback to him was, so you don't believe in God? He said, I don't believe in religion. So I said, well, tell me then. You don't believe in God? Are you an atheist? He said, well, I don't believe that. Well, his answer was, there's many gods. There's plenty of gods. I said, okay, well, that's good. Tell me, which one of them that you don't believe in? He didn't answer. So okay, you don't believe in religion. You said there's many gods. When I asked the question, do you believe in God? Well, there's many gods. Okay, which one of them? Tell me which one you don't believe in. He couldn't answer that because he understood what that meant. So even he had a basis for religion. But let's move on.
My first working definition of religion came years ago as I began to learn and teach the in Christ position message. It just simply made sense. I define religion as any attempt of self-effort a man makes to justify himself or herself before God is religion.
Now, that was my understanding. Any attempt that a human being did to justify themselves before God, right, was religion. Now, that's a good definition except for one thing. Everybody don't believe in God. So what about the people who don't do that? Are they stuck? No, they're not. I just gave you that. Keep going, Captain, please.
My old definition had an assumption that everyone was trying to please God. I grew up going to church. I was taught how important it was to please God, to avoid God's wrath. I had the fear of God always before me. From where I was sitting, that appeared to be true. But as the Father renewed my mind from his point of view, I saw my definition had a few big holes in it. Unknowingly, I left out several large groups of humanity. One of those groups was the atheists. They were not attempting to justify themselves before a God they didn't believe existed. Millions of them are not seeking justification from a God who was not there. Psalms 14:1. A fool has said in his heart, there is no God. They are corrupt. They have done abominable works. There is none that doeth good. Another group is the Satanists. Millions of them are not seeking or attempting to be justified before God. They have religion, just not the kind of religion I was talking about. They did not fit my first definition of religion. 2 Corinthians 4:3-4. But if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost, in whom the God of this world has blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Christ, who is the image of God, should shine unto them. So what has the Father been teaching about my new and exchanged definition of religion? My working definition of religion today is any belief or doctrine which seeks to improve or make the old man better, different in the flesh, and justify his or her identity as completed before God. This is for the believer or the non-believer.
Okay. You got to turn over here. Go to the next page, the bottom of the next page where it says, the way God made me reality. Really? Oh, yeah. The way God made me really. They don't own it. Now, in this dialogue, I started telling you about the vice president of the United States we have today and the presidential candidate. Most of you might have heard his name. His name is Pete Buttigieg. You heard of him? Pete Buttigieg? You heard of him? You heard of him? Okay. You haven't been keeping up with the... it was on the news.
The gay guy.
The gay guy, right. And huh?
He's the mayor.
Yeah, he's the mayor of South Bend, Indiana. Mayor Pete. And so they were in a dialogue between the two. The vice president professed believer, professed being a Christian, but so does Buttigieg. He professed, but they have two different. Buttigieg sees everything in the Bible he's doing is okay. He said that if the vice president, this was his words, not mine. If the vice president has trouble with my with who I am as a gay man, then his problem is not with me, it's with my maker, with my creator, is what he said. He said, if Vice President Pence has trouble with me, he doesn't have trouble with me, he has trouble with my creator. Now, politically, I like his political views. I like what he says. I'm not a big follower of men in political parties because I don't. It's a trap. It's religion. It's religion. If you didn't know that, it is religion. It gives you an identity. If you're not careful, you'll buy into the lie. and we won't see what the Father is doing in the world. But anyway, so I like some of the things he says, some of the things he proposes. They're good things. I don't base my vote on that, but I listen sometimes, and I only listen to him because of what he said. And so listen to Mayor Pete, and I followed what he was saying until he got to the point. He was making a point at this conference. He said, Pence does not have trouble with me. He needs to take it up with my Creator. He does not own his homosexuality. Now, this is what he said before he made that statement. He said, when I was a teenager, he said, I would have done anything to not be gay. He said, I would have done anything. If there was a pill, I'd have taken a pill. He said, if there was a knife, I would have taken a knife and cut it out of me. He said, but I can't. And what he said was, he surrendered to that. And so he said, what he's saying then, because I have these feelings, right? Because I have these feelings, and these feelings are real to me, then it cannot be me. It has to be the way I was created. You follow that? Did you get that? It has to be the way I was created. That's why he said, if Pence has trouble, Vice President Pence, he doesn't have trouble with me, let him take it up with my Creator. He does not own it. Do you follow that, Jenny? He doesn't own it. He doesn't own the decision. Now, he just got married to a guy, and he started off his speech by saying, I'm married to Chaston. I think his name is Chaston. He said, since I've been married to Chaston, listen to this, it's made me a better man. Now, think about that. It's made me a better man, yet he has a husband. Is that conflicted? Is that fickle? But yet he says the God that he serves or the God that he believes in has made him that way. Sounds a little conflicted. Now, is God conflicted or is he conflicted? Is Mike Pence who says about homosexuality is a sin? Is he conflicted? Is he fickle? I say he is too. You say, but how can that be? How can it be, David? How can it be? Don't laugh, brother. How can that be? Simple. Mike Pence, like most in religion, does not understand love. You see, God gave every human being the right to make a decision apart from him. Let's do it this way. We got a visitor, Toby. So I'm going to use Toby. I got my oldest daughter is here. She's sitting here all nice and pretty. But I'm going to use Toby. I'm not going to pick on you, honey. Toby, yes, you got a driver's license?
Yes, sir.
You got it from the state of Texas?
No, sir.
Where's your license from?
Ohio.
Ohio. That's good. I'm good with Ohio. But you're driving in Texas on an Ohio license.
Yes, sir.
When the state of Ohio gave Toby a driver's license, he became responsible for what he does in the vehicle with it he's driving.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when Toby has a wreck, he doesn't say, it's not my fault. Ohio gave me the driver's license.
Pretty good.
You see, without owning the accident, he is shifting the blame and said, Ohio is conflicted. They gave me a driver's license, they probably should have done that. They're conflicted. They're fickle. They just give license out all the time. In other words, Toby is saying, I'm not responsible, and what? Ohio cannot hold me accountable for my decisions to drive under the influence. So when we say, God made me this way, we're saying, I'm not responsible. God is responsible for doing this to me. It's him. He's responsible. They don't own it. If Toby's in that wreck when he's under the influence, he say, I knew I shouldn't have had that last drink. I knew I shouldn't. My friend asked me if I want him to drive. I said, no. And I said, man, that's owning it. I shouldn't have done it. I know it's not the correct decision. He might have drove all the way home, never had a wreck. But it's still irresponsible, and he's still held accountable if that irresponsibility is ever caught. So, let's look down here. God made me this way.
The idea has come about because of the need to find an answer for the feelings and emotions that drive homosexuality. Many advocate and believe that those who become gay or enter the homosexual lifestyle are not that way by choice. They say these powerful feelings and emotions didn't come by a choice made by the individual, but rather they're there by birth. These individuals are born that way because of their genetic predisposition. Because they are born with these pulls and feelings, this makes their actions a normal, natural response to who they are by birth. They are not to blame for their sexual or gender choices and decisions. After all, if someone is born with certain genetic traits, there's nothing they can do about it except live the way they were born. In essence, the God who created them is conflicted and fickle.
Now, let's look at that. The God that created them is what? Conflicted? What do I mean by conflicted? Well, he said that a man shouldn't lie with a man. You ever read that? Yeah, you read that, right, Julie? Yeah. Paul said in Romans chapter 1, I think I've got it here. Yeah, Romans chapter 1. Even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a reprobate mind to do those things that are not convenient. Yes, to do those things that are not convenient. I've got, I'm sorry, it's above that. Here it is. And for this cause, God gave them up to vile affections, for even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. And likewise, the men, leaving the natural use of the woman. Let me give you a little hint here. Even the men leaving the natural use of the woman. What is the natural use of the woman? Well, that means as an XY, you have anatomy that follows an XY. An XX has anatomy that follows an XX. Now, men are givers. Males are givers. Females are what? Receivers. An XY's body is designed to give seed. An XX body is designed to what? Receive. That's how we be fruitful and multiply. Julie, right? Toby?
Yes, sir.
Steve? All males are designed to be givers of seed. All females are designed to be receivers of seed, so that even in conception, the ovum, the seed beats on the ovum until it finds a way in. And when they have that union, you have the beginning of fertilization and then conception. So when you say the natural use of a woman, if this idea, that feelings that everybody has, would play to their own, play out to its extent, humanity would disappear. Now, I've heard, well, brother, what about artificial insemination? Okay, let me back up. Let me ask the question. With one hand, show me how many ways is it to get pregnant? Anybody know? How many ways are there to get pregnant? One? What do you say?
One, basically, but
Don't.
I want you to be conflicted.
Yeah, don't be conflicted. Stay with where you're going.
There's only one way to get pregnant.
Okay, thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just one. Right, one. One way to get pregnant. One. A seed must go in an ovum. Now, most of us like application. We like making love, having sex, You know, that's an application for that one, to get that one. There's in vitro fertilization. That's an application. We have artificial insemination. That's an application. Application is not the same as principle. There's only one way. Seed must go in an ovum. How you get it there depends on how much fun you want to have. I'm speaking to adults here, am I not? Okay. I don't see anywhere where God, when you make love, God turns, oh, I can't watch that. No. Stop being religious. He designed a male and a female. We'll get to this in a minute. He designed it that way. And your feelings will not change that because it is what, Curtis? Absolute. My Father is not conflicted, nor is he fickle. He is absolute. And whatever he creates is what? Absolute for this environment or for the spiritual environment. But in either environment, it is what, Jenny? Absolute. Everything around us, everything in the universe is absolute. It cannot change. It will not change. Do you know how, yeah, you're right. Jenny just said even in the animal. Do you know a female ovum cannot accept any seed but a male seed? Man, human. Gorillas don't work. Why? Because the seed, the ovum, will kill that sperm. Electrical shock. Done. Get out of here. You don't belong here. Monkeys can't conceive with a human. Dogs can't conceive with cats. Get out of here. So when Paul says this, leaving the natural use of the woman, burn in their lust one toward another. Now, we could go back to the other verse in Leviticus that talks about men laying with men. I think it's Leviticus chapter 20, I think. I can't remember right now. We could go back to that and we can say, well, you know, God was speaking to Israel, right? Men laying with men, right? You ever read that? Tope, you got that? You got that? See? We could go back there and say, well, God was speaking to, okay, I agree. And it only lasted till the cross. I agree with that. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, you can use that verse. A lot of preachers go back to the Old Testament and shake things out. Bring forth those things that don't belong to humanity, belong to Israel. They steal them and give them to people. Tithing, eating pork and all kinds of stuff. I mean, all of those things we take from Israel and try to use it in today's world. That's religion. But this is not. Paul is writing to the Romans. He's writing to believers over there. And he said that men leaving the natural use of the woman burn in their lust one toward another, man for man. Men with men working that which is unseemly and receiving in themselves that recompense of the error which is meet. Even if they did not like to retain God in their knowledge. Now, I want to say, Paul is saying something. They did not want to retain God in their knowledge. What is he referring to? Who is he talking about? Is he talking about the God or the person that says, who's he talking about? The God that makes everything absolute. The God that gave them the right, the license to lay with another man. Do you get that, Jenny? We don't get that in church. We can't have that. Because if you're under the law and you're in fear, sin will always be the issue. God doesn't have a problem with sin. Uh-oh. You hear that, bro? God doesn't have a sin issue. Why? Why? you didn't hear Jenny, let me say it again. Did you hear Jenny? Kill it at the cross. When one died, who'd that leave out? They leave you out? No. They leave you out? No. They leave you out? Did that leave you out? No. Monica, did leave you out? Jimmy, did leave you out? No. When one died, all died. That they who live should not live unto themselves, but live unto him who died and rose again. That's 2 Corinthians 5:15. I didn't do 14, which is the love of Christ constrained us that we does judge. It is 14, last part of 14. So let's look at this. God gave them over to a reprobate mind. We talked about that about a year or two ago. Curtis and I was teaching on that, the reprobate mind. That's a mind that's becoming what? A mind has become what? Worthless. Useless. Closed off. Say that. To do those things which are not convenient. If they didn't have a decision, if there was no choice, there would be no decision to do that. You follow that, Jenny? Those feelings are there for a purpose. It's to help you make a decision of love and not fear. Okay, let's look this. Let's leave this. I want to go here. We're going to go to Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 to 28. And I'm going to ask Catherine to read that for me right quick, and then we're going to discuss that, because this is where it gets started. I'm talking about God now.
And God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth."
Now let's pause. And God said, let us. Circle that. If you got it on your Bible, circle it. Let us. Let us. Do you see that? Let us make man in our image. Who is us?
The Trinity.
The Trinity. So what does that mean? Let us make man in our image. You think God let us make man and take a look at some of you sitting around. God said, let us make man look, let's make Curtis look like us. Oh my God. What happened to let us make man in our image? Don't look, does he look like Toby? Is he losing his hair? Jim? Is he losing his hair? Yes, he is. Jim said yes. Pulling it out. God said, let us make man in our image. Catherine is correct. That's the Trinity. That's why every human being was made a tripartite being, spirit, soul, and body. Each part of man is a receiver. Spirit is to receive Christ. Soul, mind is to receive knowledge and understanding. The body is to receive food, water, and oxygen to live. The mind needs wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to live. The spirit of man needs the Spirit of God to become one, to be a new spirit of life that's in Christ. So let's go on, Catherine, please.
So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male,
read that nice and slow now.
In the image of God created he him, male and female.
A giver and a receiver.
Created he them.
A giver and a receiver. One to give, one to receive, and the two of them can become what? A new person. Go on, baby.
And God blessed them, and God said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth.
Now, does he sound conflicted in that?
No.
Is he sound fickle in that?
No.
Brother? Does he sound conflicted? He's pretty definite. He made them male and female. That's fixed. Every drop of Toby's blood says XY. Every drop of Catherine's blood says XX. Every drop of Steve's blood is XY. Every drop of Jenny's blood is XX. Every drop of Rochelle's blood is XX. Sylvia, XX. Curtis, I'm not sure. Jim. He's a new creation. Okay. He's triple X. Triple X, triple Y. How about that? Jim, XY. Monica, XX. Lopez, I don't know, bro. Jimmy, XY, and fading. Why do I say that? Because every one of us in our biological and genetic identity is passing away. But you know what? It passes away the way it came in. If you came in as an XY, you're going to leave as an XY. You say, but wait a minute, brother. Wait a minute. Wait a minute, Dave. You're missing something. Oh, tell me what I'm missing. Well, you're missing the idea that we can have surgery. We can do surgery. Jenner did it. What was his first real name? Bruce Jenner did it. Now he's what?
Caitlin.
Now he's Caitlin. Now, see, some people say she's Caitlin. He's Caitlin. He had a name change and he altered his box. The box he lived in, Bruce Jenner, has been altered. He now has a perverted expression of an XY. He's put on the body of an XX, but everything in him is XY. You know why? If he doesn't take the hormones, those estrogen hormones, XX will definitely show itself. But I feel this way. Everything in me tells me I'm a woman trapped in a man's body. You're conflicted and you're fickle. Because it's absolute. You do not change XY. Even if you alter the body that an XY is expressed through. Cross had a lot to do with that. Resurrection had a lot to do with that. But let's go on. So, let's read Genesis chapter 2, verse 16-24, please.
And the Lord God commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat. The freedom and right or license to make a decision. The responsibility. But out of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, thou shalt not eat of it. For in the day that thou eatest thereof, thou shalt surely die. The choice or power to use the license, and the accountability for the decision. The right to obey or disobey. And the Lord God said, it is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him a helpmeet.
Let's pause. Now, I've heard people say, you've heard this? Have you guys heard it? God says it's not good for man to be alone, and I will make him a helpmeet. Jenny, what that meant to you?
Well, I didn't really understand it what first what helpmeet was, but I guess that is a woman.
Okay. See, Jenny, I love this sister. She just lays it out. I mean, she's not concerned about being wrong. She's not concerned about it ain't gonna fit. I love that sister. She's different than Curtis. This sister would say, yeah, I thought that when I was a Baptist. Now I see, I missed it. When I was a Baptist, I had all those ideas. Steve, you've heard that. And God said, let us, it's not good for man to be alone, let him make him help me. You've heard that. Curtis, you heard that? See, he's not like Jenny. Jenny would say, yeah, I got that, yeah. I'll tell you what, I'm going to go to our visitors. Matt? Toby, Matt? You heard that, right? Yeah. Julie? Uh-oh. Julie said,
It's a trick question.
Is it a trick question?
Yeah. Count on it.
Rochelle, you heard that before. You've been around me too long. You know that. I'll take it, honey. I got it. Okay? Okay. Where am I? Yeah. And the Lord God said, it is not good for man that man should be alone. I will make him a helpmeet. What does the next verse say? And out of the ground the Lord God formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air and brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them. Now that he said, I will make him help me. What did he first start doing? He started making animals. That's not about a woman. There's no XX in that. He said, I'm going to make him a helpmeet. So this is what he did. And the Lord God, what? Formed every beast of the field out of the ground. Every beast, that means that when they die, they go back to what? The ground. Out of the ground, every beast of the field, every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them. Right now, you're looking at Adam's ability to do what? Make decisions from knowledge. Now, I said this to a pastor once, a large church, and I said, Adam was right there. You see Adam's ability, intellect. Human intellect is in that verse. Now, some people say, well, it was he brought it was his consciousness. Okay, if you want to say that, that's fine. But he had something that God gave him, he acted upon, which was knowledge, intellect. Plus, we also see that God, he said he brought him to see, which means God did not intervene. You see that word to see? If I give this to Jenny, I say, Jenny, what is this? And she looks at it and said, oh, it's a Bible. I didn't intervene in it. I wanted to see what she'd say based on her knowledge. So here we see two things. First, we see his actions of knowledge, but we also see the decision process beginning. We see what? The decision process beginning. He also says, and whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. Knowledgeable decisions. Knowledgeable decisions. Verse 20. And Adam gave names to all the cattle and all the fowl of the air and every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found a helpmeet for him. Now listen. God said, I'm going to give him a helpmeet. But he didn't start with Adam. He started from the ground. Did he not? So, in those ground animals, wasn't anybody that he was compared. Now, some people get bogged down with saying, well, he brought two by two. Well, we see that in Noah. We don't necessarily see that here, but I'm gonna make the jump here and say maybe there was two cows, a cow and a bull, because you're going to need a cow and a bull to get calves. You're going to need a male bird and a female bird to get more birds. So I'm just laying that out before you. I'm not dogmatic on that. I'm just saying that could have been the case. But look at this. Now put this here as a sub. 1 Corinthians 15:38-39. But God gave it a body as it has pleased him, and every seed its own body. All flesh is not the same flesh. Curtis, you buy that, brother? But there is one kind of flesh of men, another flesh of beasts, another flesh of fish, and another of what? Birds. So that should tell you something. That's absolute. That's absolute. What do I mean absolute? That means a fish can't have bird babies. That means a man can't have a fish baby. So much for evolution. Right, Curtis just said so much for evolution. The DNA patterns do not match. They don't fit. And men, well, let's read on. Verse 21. And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept, and he took out of his ribs and closed up the flesh thereof. And the rib which the Lord God had taken from man, made he what? XX. XX. Now think about that. Here's an XY. God put him to sleep and took an XX out of him. I'll get to that in just a second. So, and the rib which the Lord God had taken from man, made he a what? Made he a what? XX. And brought him unto man, and brought him unto the man. And Adam said, what? This is bone of my bone, what? Not, listen, it was not the same genetic makeup. It wasn't another XX. I mean, it wasn't another XY. It was an XX. So God wasn't fickle. He wasn't confused. He brought a different makeup of man to a man. He didn't bring a XX. He didn't put him to sleep and make an XY out of him. Say, hey, look, I'm going to take this rib here. I'm not going to say it. I was going to make a joke about ribs, but I'm not going to leave it. You knew that one? That's how we said I was doing. We used to do weddings. I did this at Jim and Sylvia's daughter's wedding. How do you know Adam wasn't a black man? He wouldn't never give up a rib. He said, "This is." Oh, Jenny said she wouldn't eat. She likes ribs. He said, "This is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh." What? He should be called what? Woman. Should be called woman. XX. And because she was taken out of man, therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother and shall cleave to his wife. Men aren't wives. Now that sounds simple, except when you have a man-made religion that's conflicted. You can make another man your husband as a man, as an XX, as an XY, I'm sorry, as an XY. The conflicted God of man-made religion has everybody becoming what they believe, think, feeling, believe they are in their flesh. But there is a way of escape. You have feelings that tell you as an XY, you're an XX. You have feelings and emotions that pull you to tell you another man is the man God made for you. That's what they say. That's what's being said. Did God, this passage, Toby, does it say God made a man for a man? Now listen to me. If you know someone that's in the homosexual lifestyle or the gay and lesbian, the LGBTQS, LGBTQ, the anger, the hostility that comes from a lot of people in that movement is based in fear. Fear of two things. First, fear of not being accepted. That you're taking something from them that they feel to be true. Hey, let me ask you a question. There right now, Tiger Woods. I remember Tiger back in the day when Tiger was jumping every female he could find. That's new. That's common news. Don't look at me like I'm talking about something. I got two heads up here. Many athletes. But do you realize there's a clinic that these guys go to? A sexual, sexual addiction treatment. Think about that. Sexual addiction treatment for a guy that's having sex with multiple women. That's part of his natural DNA. Is it not? Is it not a man's DNA? The testosterone drives him to want to have sex with a woman. Is that not true? Don't look at me like I'm telling you about something that's not available. It is. An XY should lust after, well, let me change it. An XY should desire an XX. Right? But if you want too many XXs, there's a clinic for you. And if you're an XX and you want too many XYs, there's a clinic for you. But that's natural. It might not be logical, but it's natural. You know, Solomon had 900 women, 600 wives, 300 wives, and 600 concubines. That brother made the rounds. But God was not conflicted in that. Solomon wasn't conflicted. He knew he was a man. He had all these women. He wasn't conflicted. So if there's a gene, if there's something in you that makes you feel that you're an XY and you need an XY, or if you're an XX and you want another XX, Jenny wants a Sylvia. Jim might not like that. They believe, because their feelings are true to them, that it should be true and absolute. So God did that. You follow? God made me this way. No, everything in an XX drives them toward an XY. Everything in an XY drives them toward an XX. So that means you should challenge your feelings. So does that do you follow the thinking in that? Do you follow the thinking in that, Toby? The thinking in that is this. One, God created me this way as an XX. God created me this way as an XY. Now, if I'm drifting from that, there's something else going on in me. So the best thing to do, the first step on the way out, anybody ever have an alcohol problem? You ever see an alcoholic? The first thing they need to do is what? Admit what? They have a problem. Admit they have a problem with drinking, or admit they have a problem with drugs. Why? Until you're doing that, you're denying the truth. So if you're an XY and you got problems with lusting after or desiring XYs, then you need to acknowledge that. Own it. Own it. The feelings are not real. They're not true. You say, well, what is true? Well, it is delusional. First, there's an illusion, there's deception, there's captivity, and then there's illusion. Own it, because until you own it, you're going to justify it. It's going to be somebody else's fault. It's going to be God's fault. God made me this way. He made you an XY, yes. He made you an XX, yes. What you do with it is on you. Like Toby's driver's license. He doing 65 and a 20. Is he responsible? If he wasn't responsible, they couldn't pull him over. You ever get a speeding ticket? You ever get a speeding ticket? You got a ticket because you're responsible for what you're doing behind the wheel with a license that the state gave you. And if you don't have one, that's even worse. Own it. I have these feelings, but I know this is not who God created me to be. Secondly, the Bible tells us in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13, Paul said, there is no temptation given unto man that is not common to man, but with every temptation he makes a way of what? What is that way of escape? Being born again, becoming a new creation, another person in Christ. Another person. That other person is who, Curtis? The Son. The Son of God. That's not male nor female. So you don't have to worry about that. So that means at that moment, I'm another person spiritually. Therefore, I don't have to live out who I am biologically anymore. Now, that's a process. Last thing. I got to go. Last thing. There are 3 statements we should be aware of that reveals religion. And they contribute to us being somewhat conflicted and fickle in our thinking of the two-person gospel. These 3 statements, Jimmy, these 3 statements, if it's in your vocabulary, I would be careful. Those of you who are learning sonship, those of you who are learning who you are, my life, love like Jesus, Christ-like love. Have you heard those statements, Jenny? How many times what the Father's doing in my life? What life are you referring to? Well, religion is strong on love like Jesus. Jesus said in John 15, as the Father has loved me, so I have loved you. Which means he didn't love them with their love. He loved them with the love of his Father. That's what he said. As the Father, what he said was, love one another as, not like, as I have loved you. I have loved you as the Father loved me. Lastly, the distinction of God with a large G and a small g, and Son with a large S and a small s. Now I'm not gonna go over the one with the large G for God and the small g, because the Bible does that periodically when you talk about other gods. But I do want to use the one large S versus small s, because that's who we are. If we're heirs of God, joint heirs with Christ, and the Spirit bears witness with our spirits that we are the sons of God, that's equality. You ever have a child? Toby, you ever see a child that's biologically birthed that does not carry your DNA? Is they your little child or your big child? They're yours. So we use that. So if you're using, when we talk about sonship, that's why I never use a small s, because I'm trying to, what I'm saying is, this is Jesus and this is me. This is the Son and this is me. That's fickle. That's conflicted. That's conflicted. It's the same seed. It's the same Son. So how can he stay here and I stay here? It's conflicted. Stop being conflicted. Jimmy, you get that? It's the same S. It's the same Son. So when you're writing it, be sure you make your S's, if you're going to use that, make sure they match, because we're equal. We're heirs of God, joint heirs, joint S's. But I'm saying this only because many of you struggle with that. You're still struggling with being equal with Christ. You still struggle with that. Some of you struggle with that. God, your Father, he only makes one kind of son. Technically, it's not a small or a large. But we do that to designate. Well, I want to do this to designate Jesus, and I put this over here as me. Well, that's the same as Curtis was talking about, the two-person gospel. Big S, little s. Is that not the same as a two-person gospel? Big J, little j. Big C, little c. That's a two-person. Is that not the two-person gospel? That's fickle and conflicted. And I think with that, I'm going to stop. Guys, appreciate you joining us this morning at Sunday Fellowship. Kind of went a little bit over, but it's Easter. But I wanted to go over those things because our Father is not conflicted, neither is he fickle. Everything in the universe is absolute, because everything in the universe is what, Curtis? Linear. Everything is linear. You can't go back. You can't live yesterday. Look at your graduation pictures in your yearbook and take a look in the mirror. Put them up together. You're looking at linear. It's absolute. It's fixed. Because God created time. He's absolute. And there's an absolute length of time that you'll have. Look at your baby pictures. Look in the mirror. See what you got now. It's linear. You cannot go back on that scale. That's why it's absolute. And truth then is absolute, because truth in this dimension is linear. Okay? Anyway, guys, I trust the Father to see you next week. Maybe Curtis will be back. I don't know. No, he won't be here next week. I'm praying for that. Pray for that, brother. Anyway, guys, have a happy Easter, and thank you for joining us this morning in Sunday Fellowship.